Hello everyone, welcome to the video. In this video, we will be discussing the latest updates regarding the second stimulus check or the second stimulus bill that is currently being discussed in Congress. They're also calling it the HEALS Act. So I have gone through the internet and found the most relevant and most important information to share with you guys. Before we dive deeper into this video and discuss what we know so far, just a few things I want to mention: that this is not a political channel. This is a channel on personal finance and investing. So obviously we'll be talking about different members of the Congress, the Democrats and Republicans. The sole purpose of that is just to discuss the stimulus check update. So please do not take it one way or another, and also let's keep it respectful towards the other political party in the comment section below, regardless of which political party you support. So with that being said, let's dive right into it. So the first article we'll be looking at is from foxbusiness.com. Trump says second stimulus check could be way higher than $1,200. President Trump suggested this week the next coronavirus relief package could include a direct cash payment for American families that's potentially higher than $1,200. So here's a direct quote from President Trump. "It may go higher than that, actually. I'd like to see it be very high because I love the people. I want the people to get it." Trump did not say how much money he's envisioning for the second round of stimulus checks. Congress and the White House kickstarted negotiations this week after Senate Republicans unveiled the HEALS Act, estimated to cost about $1 trillion. But Trump told reporters earlier in the day the two sides are so far apart on what they think needs to be included in the fifth round of emergency aid. His priorities for those relief measures, he said, are an eviction moratorium and direct payments. Senate Republicans' proposal, which they rolled out on Monday, would allocate another round of $1,200 of direct payments to American families with the necessary qualifications clearly identical to the first stimulus check. So it seems like President Donald Trump is pushing to get a higher payment than $1,200, but we'll see what it comes to be. And we will talk in more details in some of the other articles I will discuss in this video regarding the qualification criteria. Individuals who earn a gross adjusted income of up to $75,000 and couples earning $150,000 would receive the full $1,200 or $2,400 payment respectively. For high earners, the checks would be reduced by $5 for every $100 in income and phased out entirely at $99,000 and $198,000 respectively. The proposals also modify the stimulus checks so the families with dependents over the age of 17 who were excluded from the previous payments. A frequent criticism of the CARES Act will be able to receive the extra $500. For instance, a married couple with 2 children would receive up to $3,400. So in the first stimulus check, only dependents under the age of 17 were qualified, but seems like in this second round, dependents that are over the age of 17, maybe college-going students, or maybe elderly senior citizens, parents, they could be included in this bill as well. It's unclear whether the HEALS Act has a limit on how many dependent payments a single household can receive. The House passed HEROES Act in May, capped them at 3 or an additional $3,600. But Democrats and Republicans appear to remain at loggerheads over specific provisions for the next stimulus bill. So I hope for everyone's sake that both parties can come together and can iron out a bill really fast, because as I've discussed in my previous video, I'll link that in the iCard here, that Senate goes into recess on August 7th. So if they are unable to reach a decision by then, we could be looking at a prolonged delay, which nobody really wants. So I will link that in the iCard here. So if you guys want to check out the information that we discussed there, that's a good video to check out. Before I move on to the next news article, I just want to mention if you have some useful info, put them in the comments below. A useful article or useful news information, help out the community. Please leave them in the comments below for others to find. And if you think someone will find this video useful, please share it with them. All right, the next article is from Fox 32 Chicago. Second stimulus check details revealed. Who is eligible? The GOP unveiled details for a second round of direct payments to American households on Monday in legislation that has been dubbed the HEALS Act. If you qualified for a check in the first round, you're likely up for a second payment, perhaps for an even larger amount. The checks will largely follow the same guidelines as those issued in the CARES Act. So this is something that we've discussed, so we'll not waste your time talking about it. The difference with this round of payments is that there will be no age cap on eligible dependents. While the CARES Act only allowed the additional $500 to be allocated for families with dependent children, now households will be able to claim the additional $500 for dependents of any age. In order to receive the benefit, an individual must have a work-eligible Social Security number, and he or she cannot be a dependent of another taxpayer. So must have a work-eligible Social Security number. This is an important point to note. While the IRS ran into a few challenges issuing the first round of checks, by keeping the criteria largely the same, the tax agency would presumably be able to get out a second round more quickly. Lawmakers also clarified a number of issues. For example, the legislation stipulates that rebates are not subject to administrative offset for past debts, with the exception of past due child support. The cash is protected from bank garnishment or levy by private creditors or debt collectors, which would be applied retroactively to the CARES Act money. So if you are not behind on your child support, the amount of money that you're supposed to get, you are protected under most cases. Also, it clarified that anyone who died prior to January 2020 is not eligible for a payment, nor is anyone who's incarcerated at the time the payment is processed by the Treasury or anyone who is imprisoned for the duration of 2020. So this is a point to note. I don't know if it applies to you or your loved ones or anyone you know, but if someone passed away before January of 2020, they're not eligible. If someone is currently in jail or incarcerated, they would not be eligible under this proposal as well. All right, so before we move on to the next article, I just want to mention that I will link all this article in the description of this video. So if you want to do your own research, read them on your own, or follow the URLs that are shared in these articles, you would be able to do that very easily. The next article is from CNET.com. How soon could the next stimulus check arrive? Here are some possible IRS payment dates. When would you get the second stimulus check, and how much of the proposed $1,200 would you qualify for? Until Washington lawmakers can agree on the terms of the next stimulus package, the schedule for sending another round of direct payments is in flux. The IRS can't act to coordinate another direct deposit transfer or mailing schedule until a bill is signed into law. As of Friday, an agreement was still far off when Congress adjourned for the weekend. We anticipate that we will have a bill, but we're not there yet, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said on Friday. It isn't clear how long the already heated negotiations would take. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell set an initial deadline of August 7th, the last day before another scheduled month-long senatorial break to reach an agreement. But the start of the break could be postponed. There's no point to considering going home at the end of next week unless we've solved the problem, said Senator Dick Durban. So, guys, August 7th is the big date. A lot depends on whether this deadline can be met or not. We will see in a moment what would happen if we meet this August 7th deadline and what would happen if we don't. So there is a breakdown below. We will discuss it in a minute. Below, we've sketched out a potential schedule for when the next stimulus payment could be sent. How quickly an agreement is reached could either slow down or expedite the process. When the next IRS stimulus checks could go out, the Senate's last day in session before its August recess is August 7th, which means Congress has to agree on a final stimulus bill before then if it keeps to its planned schedule. After that, senators return to their home states until session picks up again September 8th. So if August 7th deadline is missed, we're looking at a 1 month long delay. We don't know how long it'll take from the time the bill is signed into law to the time the IRS sends checks, but we can glean hints based on the first CARES Act journey to the final approval process. So this table, guys, is quite important. You'll see here that the CARES Act was passed by the Senate on March 25th, passed by the House the next day, and the President signed it the next day on March 27th. And the first checks went out on April 15th. So if we kind of take this as a measuring stick, we could kind of see when the first checks for the HEALS Act would be received. So for the HEALS Act, the proposal date was July 27th and the negotiations began the same day. They only have 7 to 9 days of negotiation until the August 7th deadline is here. So not a lot of time before they could reach an agreement. And in terms of the final negotiated bill, if they pass it on August 6th before the recess, then the House would be able to pass it on August 7th and the President would sign it on August 10th. So the first check could come out in the week of August 24th. However, if this August 7th deadline is missed, then the Senate would pass it around September 8th. If House passes that on September 9th, then the President would be able to sign it on September 10th or 11th, and then the first checks would go out on September 28th. So about a 1 month delay if the August 7th deadline is missed. So that's a big difference in terms of when people may get their checks. Also, keep in mind, this is when the first checks would be sent. Doesn't necessarily mean that's when everyone would get the check. So the checks would start going out in the dates mentioned here. So a lot of people would actually get that money a lot later. So I just hope for everyone's sake, both parties in Congress can come together and come to an agreement sooner than August 7th. How could the new stimulus check arrive quicker than last time? On Monday, Senator Chuck Grassley said the HEALS Act will follow the stimulus check model of the CARES Act. The Republican plan provides for another round of $1,200 of economic payments for most American adults. We're going to continue the economic impact payments that were made in April and May. But here's how that could get to you sooner. The HEALS Act guidelines are mostly the same as those of the original CARES Act, which allows the IRS to follow its previous model. The IRS already built its Get My Payment tool for the dual purposes of tracking your stimulus check payment and signing up for direct deposit. The URLs for those tools are in this article. As always, I will link this article in the description of this video if you want to follow these. Implementing this tool and working out glitches for the first round of checks took time that the IRS is unlikely to need to process a second check. So a few good news here. What could delay the IRS sending the next stimulus check payments? If Congress and President Donald Trump can't agree on the provisions in the new stimulus bill and miss the August 7th deadline, it would be another month before the next session starts and the Senate and the House can reconvene, propose, debate, and pass the bill. unless the House and Senate delay the start of their August recess. Both chambers of Congress and the president appear motivated to pass the bill before August 7th. When is the last date I could get the new stimulus check? Once again, the schedule for the first stimulus check can provide a potential roadmap, though there's no official news until another rescue package is finalized. The IRS will have sent about 200 million checks by the time it's done distributing the first draft of payments. The total US population is nearly 330 million people. The majority of those were sent by the beginning of June, though the IRS said it will continue to disperse the final batches through the end of the year. If there are fewer people receiving a second stimulus check, it's possible that it won't take as long to send a second round of payments. So, guys, I know like the vast majority of people did receive the first round of stimulus checks, but if you see here, you would see that the IRS is still sending out checks. Not all the checks have gone out, and they're expecting that would take until the end of the year. So what we're going here by, what we're trying to do is trying to gauge how long it would take for the second stimulus check based on how the first stimulus check went. Would this be the final stimulus check? In May, Mitch McConnell said that the next coronavirus relief bill will also be the last. The course of COVID-19 infections will certainly play a role in future debates over the best way to strengthen the economy. Coronavirus infections began surging in June with record numbers of infection rising in July. However, the White House may try to squeeze in one more stimulus check before November. There is likely going to be another round of stimulus come the fall, said Kevin Kirilli. So guys, while we are basically looking into the second round of stimulus checks in the HEALS Act, there is talks that there may be a third round of stimulus checks coming. At least it's in the talks. We don't know much about it yet as everyone's focused on the second round. So we will see how that goes, and as more information comes out for this third round of payments, I will keep you guys updated. So moving on, how can you get more help? If you're still on the first round of coronavirus payments, you can track the status of your stimulus check, learn how to report your no-show check to the IRS, and find possible reasons why your stimulus check still hasn't arrived. Here are even more resources about your coronavirus hardship loans, unemployment insurance, what you can do if you've lost your job, what to know about evictions and late car payments, if you could receive 2 refund checks from the IRS, and how to take control of your budget, guys. So these are all URLs. Like I said, I will leave the link to this article in the description. You could go to this article and follow these URLs here. If any of these links appeal to you, they may be worth checking out because there seems to be a lot of valuable information here. So guys, these are all the latest news that we have. As more information comes to light, I will keep you updated. So if you guys want to remain updated on the second stimulus check and stimulus package developments, you might want to consider subscribing to the channel so you always know when this video come out. And if you guys want to see videos like this, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. So that lets me know that you guys found this video helpful or at the very least interesting. So that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.